What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again from Locked On Wizards. Corey Kispert drops 27 points, but the Washington Wizards are outscored 31-13 in the fourth quarter and give up another lead to the Orlando Magic. So they lose this one 116-109. We're going to talk about this game, why they lost, how the young guys did, and we're going to touch base on potential talks for a potential contract extension between the Washington Wizards and Kristaps Porzingis. And of course, at the end, we're going to chop it up. So again, again, a really bad loss, but we're going to talk about it next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again with Locked On Wizards. Again, the Washington Wizards dropped another, I'm not going to say must-win game, but especially if you're looking at lottery odds, but another game where they led, and the fourth quarter, again, they were outscored 31-13 in the fourth quarter. So, again, 116-109, the Wizards fall against the Orlando Magic at home at the Capital One Arena. So, looking at this stat line, and let's talk about these young guys real quick, shall we? Now, obviously, with Bradley Beal being out, Kyle Kuzma being out, and now KP out with this game with an illness, which, is not specified, but they are officially tanking. They are officially trying to, try to get, give playing time to these young guys and really see where they're at and where they're at as far as their place in this organization going forward. And two, it's about draft picks right now. They really are in tank mode, because if you look at the rest of the schedule, this is the final week of the regular season for the for the Washington Wizards. I'm not going to say for the NBA because obviously the playoffs, playing tournament coming up, but with this last week, really only winnable game looking at the schedule would be the Houston Rockets next weekend. But so they're officially in tank mode. But let's go ahead and look at these stats for these young guys, man. Let's start with the biggest stat line of the night. Corey Kispert, 27 points scored, 9 for 14 from the field, all 3-pointers, 9 3-pointers. His ability to shoot, his ability to cut, and his basketball IQ continues to shows a lot of progress with his NBA game. He's really blossoming to a really solid player. Now, I don't know if it's going to be role player, starter, because, again, we don't know, really what the future holds for this franchise yet, but he definitely has a place in his organization going forward. This being year 2, he's really taking a jump from year 1 to year 2. His shot, he's easily the best shooter in his draft class. And, like I said, his ability, he's really throwing other tools in his offensive skill set, whether it's driving the lane, cutting to the basket. It's just really, Corey Kispert is just really solidified himself as really being a piece of this franchise going forward. So, again, 27 points. Shout out to Corey Kispert. Really taking advantage of his playing time. Deni Avdija, he did struggle tonight or last night. 6 points, 6 rebounds, but he does the bad shooting night. And he wasn't the only one, but looking at his stat line, 214, but 0 for 6 from 3. So, a really bad shooting night for him. But you know what? I'm not stressing, because this is time for these young guys to really get this playing time. And look, they're going to have bad games, man. So I'm not really distressed with the stat line, because, looking at the starting unit, Daniel Gafford, which, me and E both consider him a young guy, because, yeah, we didn't draft Daniel Gafford, but, we traded for him, but he's a young guy if you look at age and experience. And wow, 18 points, 13 rebounds. He really did his thing in the paint. And then obviously Benchero, he had a career night, but Daniel Gafford, man, 2 blocks to add to that, 18 points, 13 rebounds. So Daniel Gafford, again, just like Corey Kispert, really shows why he needs to be a piece of the franchise going forward, because his age, and yeah, he's going into an extension next year. So, and like I said, it's just a lot of unknowns. What is Kyle Kuzma going to do? What is Kristaps Porzingis going to do? And we're going to talk about the fact that him and the Wizards are talking about a contract extension. But, I feel good about having Gaff return on an extension, because he's really showed out with playing time this season. And I love what I see from an offensive and defensive standpoint, because if you look at his offensive game, he looks a little more agile. If you look at a lot of these moves he made this game, man, He's an agile big, man. Now I get it, the jump shot, all that, not fitting the modern day big, but his game is really evolving, excuse me. So I love what I see from Gaff. So rounding out the starting lineup, DeLon Wright. Let's talk about DeLon real quick. 21 points, 9 rebounds. 9 rebounds for a guard. Shooting 8 for 15, 2 for 6 for 3. DeLon Wright, to me, if I look at next season, who stays, who goes, DeLon to me stays. And Monte, both him and Monte will be on expiring contracts, but I had no problem with DeLon Wright either. I'm not going to say starting because obviously we're in a search for our potential franchise point guard, but running the second unit. I mean, look at the stat line. I mean, his defensive prowess, the fact that his offensive skill set is not as, I mean, he could score the rock, man. And if you look at the fact that, as a guard, him and Goodwin are both guards that can rebound at a high level. So I love both of these guys. But and rounding out the starting unit, I'll take obviously Monte Morris, 4 points, very underwhelming. Coming back from injury. So Kispert, DeLon, and Gaff ran this first unit, and they kept us in the game till the fourth quarter, apparently. But and we're going to talk about the second team real quick. Goody, aka Jordan Goodwin, 10 points, 4 for 15. Oh, no, excuse me. Johnny Davis, 10 points, 4 for 15, 2 from 10 from 3. So Johnny Davis, 10 points, yes, he's getting his shots up. And while on the one hand, you're looking at it like, all right, he shot 4 for 15 and 2 for 10 from 3. But, confidence. He's shooting the ball more. He was very hesitant early in the year. And even in the first part of playing for the Capital City Go-Go, he was very hesitant to shoot. So the fact that he's putting up that many attempts shows me that he has confidence. And that's what you want to see from Johnny Davis. That's what you want to see, more confidence because, again, just like talking about Kispert and Gaff, man, as far as these young guys, I believe that Johnny Davis has a place in his organization going forward, and he should because he has shown enough fight. There's a long list of players in this league who struggled at some point, especially in the rookie years or early on. And, and the two names are really Markelle Fultz is one of them, all the stuff he went through because of his shot and the fact that, and we saw it, 25 points from Markelle Fultz. So, going back to Johnny Davis, man, he's really worked on his game, and that's what you want to see from a young guy. He's trying to evolve his game. And then rounding out the second unit, Kendrick Nunn, 12 points, 5 for 10 from the field. And Jordan Goodwin, 7 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. So, again, just like DeLon, he's a guard who can contribute in rebounding and assist and shoot when he needs to shoot. So, again, unlike earlier in the year, I'm not going to go really, just like me and E, we're not going to really go into the specifics why they lost the game because, it's the last season run. And really, we're just looking at the progress of the younger guys. So looking at the younger guys, I like what I see from the younger guys, man. With playing time, I have hope for the future. Now, there's a lot of debate whether, about the draft picks, about Tommy Shepard and his drafting ability. And I'll admit he needs to step up his draft game. And yes, Kispert, Deni, I'm not going to really say Rui because Rui was forced to be a starter early on. But even though a lot of these guys did not come in and contribute right away on the starting unit, you're starting to see a little bit of that potential that he saw. Kispert, I'm a big fan of Kispert's game, man. Deni, consistency is really his key. He's got to be more consistent. Looking at Gaff, again, we didn't draft him, but he is considered one of the young guys, and Gaff is really solidifying himself in a starting unit. I love what I see from Gaff, the attitude, the veracity, the deep. I love it, man. And then, Johnny Davis and Jordan Goodwin, quality minutes. So, again, this loss, if I'm going to pinpoint one thing why we lost this game, well, 2, Markelle Fultz, 25 points, and Banchero, 30 points, 12 rebounds. So Paulo, man, there's a reason why he was number 1 overall, and homie, he can play. He can play some basketball, man. And there's a big reason why, they scored, I believe it was 58 points in the paint by Orlando. So, and the biggest factor really losing this game is the fourth quarter, man. They outscored us 31-13. So they came out in the fourth quarter, and again, another loss where just a team comes back from behind. And yes, Orlando, yes, is late in the year, and we're I'm going to say technically because Ted will never technically tank, but we're tanking. So, but that fourth quarter is where we lost the game. So again, you could say a winnable game, but it's tank mode, and really we're trying to get the best pick available. So, again, 116-109, we fall to the Orlando Magic. So next, we're going to talk about the ongoing talks between Kristaps Porzingis and the Washington Wizards on a new extension. after opting out of his current deal going to the offseason. But before we do, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The tournament is heating up, and there's no better place to get on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now FanDuel is giving new customers a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back. And bonus bets if your first bet does not win. Just go to fanduel.com/lockedon and sign up today to claim your no sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the money line to point spreads to which team will be cutting down the net. All in one app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Don't miss your shot at no sweat first bet up to $1,000. When you join FanDuel today, just go to fanduel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. So let's slide into the next subject. And a lot of pretty much every news source as far as sports is reported, but it was first put out by The Athletic. The Washington Wizards and Kristaps Porzingis are in talks currently for a new extension following him opting out of his current deal, his player option rather in the offseason. So looking at the specifics, they're looking at a potential deal of 4 years, $180 million. So obviously he would not be up there salary-wise with Bill, but those two together are going to take up a big piece of the salary cap. So my question for you guys, and really to add to the discussional piece at the end, do you think that his injury pass is a red flag for signing him to a 4-year extension? Or have you seen enough from him being healthy this year, playing at an all-star level to sign him to that deal? So I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys, man, and go ahead and let me know what you think. Do you think his injury pass is a red flag, or do you think you've seen enough from Kristaps Porzingis to sign him to that deal? But obviously, I mean, that changes things for this franchise because it changes the dynamics real quick, right? Because, I mean, if you sign him to that deal, again, that's a large portion of your salary cap space that goes towards two players. And if you add in the fact that, Daniel Gafford's going to an extension and you still got Monte Morris, DeLon Wright on, contract years next year. So, you got Deni, Kispert. So, the flexibility lessens a little bit, especially if you're looking at a potential deal for Kyle Kuzma, because per sources, which again was reported by the Athletic, was that currently Kyle Kuzma is looking for $25 to $30 million. So I'm going to offer you what I think about that. Now, let me start by saying this. I am a big fan of Kyle Kuzma. Now, some people are, some people aren't. Some people like the fact that he's a shooter and very aggressive on offense, and some people don't like the fact that he does tend to shoot a lot of attempts. But, I mean, you can't deny the fact that his leadership and him solidifying himself as a more complete basketball player as opposed to the player we saw in L.A. So it is a different player in Kyle Kuzma. But looking at the fact that, there's a really good possibility that KP stays long term. I mean, early on in his tenure here in DC, he said he loved DC, and and he's not one of these guys that need a big market. Yeah, he came from New York, initially being drafted by the Knicks, but going to Dallas and then here. So he's not one of these guys that are chasing the bright lights like a Kyle Kuzma or a lot of these other all-stars. So if he stays, and the fact that you have him and Bill signed to big deals, if I'm the general manager, and this is my take on that, if I'm the general manager, I'm letting him walk. I'm re-signing KP, and I'm letting Kuz walk. And yeah, Deni Avdija is on a contract year, but I'm sliding him into the small forward position if you don't find another small forward. Because my second take is this: I am definitely packaging those 2 second-round picks for another first round. I think, in my humble opinion, y'all, and I know there's some Wizards fans that agree with me, is that you got to go into this draft with another first rounder. This is a loaded draft. You easily, from the first pick to the 15th pick, you got guys who can make a difference for any organization in the NBA. And even if we choose to do a retool, not a rebuild, and try to build not only around Bradley Beal, but KP, I don't have a problem with that. I prefer a rebuild, but I do like KP. I like Kuz, but I'm not paying Kuz $30 million, man. It ain't happening. When I can slide Deni into the 3 and call it a day. So that's where I'm at with it. I like KP. I would not mind him being here long term. Bradley Beal's a whole nother question. And then let me say this. Bradley Beal is my 3rd favorite Wizard all time. And you can't take away what he's done in DC off the court. You can't take away the fact that, he's going to be the leading scorer. And, look, he's got a lot of history here. The John Wall era, and obviously there's been issues here and there. But let's say this: the issues that me and a lot of people have with Bradley Beal it has nothing to do with him as a player. It definitely has nothing to do off the court because, look, from my standpoint from off the court, he's a family guy who prioritizes his family and he does a lot of things for the community around DC. But let me say this, and I've said this from the point when he signed the contract, which is when you sign a supermax contract and solidify yourself as a guy, that comes with a whole new expectations for you as a player, for you as a leader, and that's just it. But I don't personally see Bradley Beal being traded because the contract just, I mean, as a GM, if I'm opposing GM, why would I trade for a guy that one is getting paid that amount of money, two for a guy who's going to his 30s, and three for a guy that his skill set is actually diminishing. I mean, he was once a well-known shooter where his three-point shot is diminishing. He's more of a mid-range guy. So I don't see him going anywhere. I see him staying in DC unless it's a deal that just too good to pass up. But I don't see him going anywhere. But getting back to the topic at hand, which is the extension, I have no problem with it. Now, like the question I asked you guys earlier, does his injury past scare you from really committing to him long term? I mean, that's a tough question, man, because on one hand, it's like, yeah, to a certain degree, you worry about that. But then this season, he's proven that when healthy, he's an all-star. Easy. And I love his game. So definitely tell me what you guys think, man. So we're going to go ahead and slide into comments. And again, appreciate y'all. Again, sorry about not doing the video right after the game. Friday, I was actually in Philadelphia. I just decided I wanted a Philly cheesesteak and I wanted to go see the Rocky statue. So I took a day trip to Philly and I had a ball, man. So definitely apologize for not doing the episode right after the games. But I wanted to make sure that we talked about these subjects today. So let's get right into the topics, man. And again, I appreciate y'all, man. I really do. And it's been a long year, man. But man, it's been fun with y'all, man. Slide into Desan. I'm very interested in hearing, oh Lord, Israeli Phantom's thoughts tonight. One of racism is what made Deni shoot 2 for 14. Oh Lord, y'all already started. All right, Bullets Nation. 60 time we've blown a 15-point lead this year. 34-43, but should be 50-27. West has got to go. Y'all know my thoughts. I think you have to evaluate head coach going into the offseason. You have to. The number one, his MO was defense in Denver. And you just have not seen that translate into success in DC. I do think a lot of that has to do with coming into a situation where it's a mixed bag between veterans and young guys. And we don't have the personnel to really implement a defensive system. We very few guys on the team actually their MO's defense. Deni can defend, Jordan Goodwin, he can defend, DeLon can defend, but Morris is not a big defender. He's an undersized guard. Kispert, offensive dude, man. But, he definitely has to work on his defense in offseason. Gaff, he is a defensive guy in the paint, but he does have his moments, especially against bigger and stronger centers. But I don't know, man. A part of me does think that 2 years are enough to really dictate whether he should be here long term or not. But then a part of me is like this, if they decide to rebuild, I'm actually kind of intrigued to see how West does with a rebuilding team with young guys and try to really formulate his defensive system here in DC. So we'll see, man. And like I said, there's a lot going on into the offseason. And I'm very, very excited to talk to you guys about it. Me and E are very excited about the offseason. But yeah, man, another blown lead. And I definitely think you have to evaluate the head coaching position going into the offseason. So appreciate you, man. The Press Wizards fan. Thoughts on us wanting to re-sign KP to a huge contract? Who do you think we should prioritize between Kuz and KP? KP is better, more injury prone. Kuz is better, leader, and younger. Just like I said earlier, man, I love both of them. I think, there were quality additions, especially KP. I mean, that was a heck of a trade that he pulled off for him, man. Getting rid of Dinwiddie and Bertans because Bertans needed to go. I mean, he really didn't need to stay. But I would definitely prioritize KP. Now, obviously, like I said earlier, you're going to have his injury past is going to be a red flag to a certain degree. But I think this year he has proven that when he is healthy, and he put a lot of work into being healthy this year. There's a lot of stories about before the season about him really working on not being so injury prone. And I think that had a lot to do with his skill set, with the way he plays. He plays in a way that's not putting a lot of pressure on his legs and his knees. He's really being smart. So, no, I don't have a problem with him staying long term. I really don't. So I appreciate you, man. Depressed Wizards fan. Michael Wilder, what's up, man? How you doing today, man? Sup, Brandon? My buddy and I were hard rooting for the Magic down the stretch. What do you think the percent chance is that Bill is here next season? That's a good question, man. I'm going to say 75% chance he's here because, we once thought of the John Wall contract and the Russell Westbrook contracts as untradeable. And excuse me, y'all, man, it's hot today. So is his contract untradeable? Nah, but again, you got to try to look at things from the perspective of a GM opposite Tommy Shepard, right? Why would I trade for Bill? I mean, the time to trade him was 2, 3, 4 years ago. When they had that package of Golden State for the 2 picks and Wiseman and it was a few players. I think it was Wiggins. I would have took that. We waited too long to trade him. And like I said, looking from an opposing GM's perspective, man, his age, his diminishing offensive skill set, the fact that as a playmaker, he's very limited in creating shots. He has very predictable moves when it comes to attacking the basket. And while he can attack the basket, usually is against guards who he's bigger and faster than. The fact of the matter is his offensive skill set is diminishing. So I don't see it. I think it's a 75% chance now. The Lakers and their never-ending quest to try to trade for everybody, maybe they take a chance on him. Maybe I don't see many other teams, that would really take a chance on a guy going into his 30s with a diminishing offensive skill set. I think he's here, man. I think once he really gets that scoring record, he's here, and he really wants to solidify himself here as a Wizard, man. Because I don't see it, man. Maybe Boston, like we all know, him and Jason Tatum are childhood friends, so I could see that, and I would not mind Jaylen Brown teaming up with KP. I'm just saying. I would not mind that. So appreciate you, Michael Wilder. Definitely appreciate it, man. Let's see. Unknown ism. What difference does it make if we draft G League players with the first round pick? Me personally, I think that, it depends on the situation of your franchise. If you're a younger franchise, it's not like, I don't know. That's a good question, man, because like I said, it depends on really the situation of your franchise. If you look at Dallas, the fact that they picked up Jaden Hardy, you worked on his game a little bit in G League, and then he came out and look at him. I mean, he's scoring. I mean, he's playing good basketball right now, especially with all the turmoil going on in Dallas with Kyrie. And I don't know why people keep trading for Kyrie, man. But so yeah, I think that depending on your situation, if you're a team that's young and you need guys to come in and try to, like OKC, if you look at what OKC's been able to do with the draft, man, just between, Josh Giddey and, Chet Holmgren, I know Holmgren hasn't played this year, but, the list goes on. So it depends on the situation. Shit, lottery picks. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't draft a project with a lottery pick. Maybe a late first rounder, second rounder. Yeah, but I wouldn't, not with a lottery pick. So let's see. Fred Fezzo, what's up, homie? I would prioritize KP to the same age. Yeah, I'm gonna prioritize KP. Absolutely. All right, peaked in 78. Oh, I like that. Glad to see Deni was on the tank train yesterday. Keeps bringing value on and off the court. Well, he had consistency has always been his issue. It was a really bad shooting night. I don't know if he did it on purpose, but he's a young guy. You're gonna have these stretches where consistency is a problem, but he's working on his game. I like what I see from these young guys, man. So, man, Mike Laurie, what's up, man? That air ball was ugly from Johnny. I think his stat line was ugly, but like I said, his attempts tell a story, right? That he's got more confidence. Sometimes you need some air balls. People forget Kobe. I forget if it was his rookie year or one of his first couple years in the league, but y'all forget the playoffs. Kobe Bryant airballed I don't know how many times. You got to take L's, man, for you to really work on your game, work on yourself, and get better. It takes L's. So I have no problem with him taking L's as long as it adds callous to his game and really helps him build himself up. So I don't have a problem with it, man. I'm gonna do a couple more. Let's see. A lot of good comments, man. Appreciate y'all today, man. Area 11_T. What's up? For everybody who wants us to tank and draft one of these guys, if we don't blow it up, what do y'all expect one of these rookies to do, seeing how we treat young guys while building around Brad? I agree, and I'm gonna say this, man. It comes down to this basic fact about the Washington Wizards. They need to figure out what their vision is. It's tough to, these last 2 to 3 years, man. We've done nothing more than try to compete and rebuild at the same time. It's tough to do that. They need to figure out what their vision is. And they need to figure out whether they're trying to compete, whether they're trying to rebuild, retool. There's a clear lack of vision for this team, from the owner down to the GM to even the coach. There's a lack of vision. Nobody knows what the long-term solution is in DC. We're trying to. So, Angus, this is a good con. Maybe flip Kuz for a good point guard. Well, I mean, a sign and trade is not out of the equation at this point. We could definitely probably sign and trade Kuz, and maybe you could flip him for a quality point guard. Now, the question is, going into the offseason, how many guards or franchise point guards, rather, could you flip Kuz for? It's hard, man. I think the best alternative for point guard is to go into the draft and get a kid where you can build him up and he can get proper experience running the offense. And this is where my head's at. I like this. Look, Cason Wallace. We need another University of Kentucky guard. It's like J-Dub, man. We need Cason Wallace. That's my favorite point guard prospect. So I'm with Cason, man. Let's see. Brick to buildings. We are stuck with Bill. Yep. Sign KP and let Kuz walk. It's easier to find another Kuz. Yep. Completely agree. I agree with you 100%. I love Kuz, but you can find cheaper options at the wing instead of paying 3 guys. I mean, you re-sign Kuz and KP, you are giving up 95% of your cap space. And I'm just guessing. I don't have the specifics in front of me, but I mean, it's a large proportion of your cap space. You could easily find a replacement, or you could take that money that you're going to pay Kuz and find 2 guys. Easy. Especially with Gaff being in an extension. Monte's here. DeLon's here on contract years. Deni's on a contract year. You still got Kispert for a couple more years. So, I mean, yeah, I would let Kuz walk. And like I said, I'm a big fan of him, but I'm definitely going to let him walk, man. Let's see. Area 11_T. What's good again, man? Another question here, that is, if Jaylen Brown makes all NBA, he'll get a supermax like Brad. Do you think that's a trade that could be made to trade Brad for his con? Yes, I do. I think there's a lot to this Boston thing, man. And I think that there's very few options to flip Brad, but Boston would be one of the best chances to do so, in my opinion. Boston would be the best chances to do so. So, great question, man. Ingus, what is your opinion? Who currently holds the best return in terms of trade, and how much KP value has increased from this? Oh man, well, look at KP real quick. His trade value is through the roof because he's healthy and he's playing at all-star level. We could definitely get we could get a first-round pick for KP, easy. But the thing is, I don't mind him staying here long term. If I had to choose between Kuz and KP, it's KP. Because his skill set for the modern day NBA big combined with Gafford has been effective. And Kuz just I'm not comfortable paying him $25 million, $30 million. I'm just not, man. Because I don't think that this current solid 3 is enough to compete. I don't. I think I'm taking that money that could go towards Kyle Kuzma, and I'm spending it on another wing. There's other things that we need. I don't think we need to spend $30 million on Kyle Kuzma. It's not needed. But I think KP, yeah, I would definitely prioritize him. Let's see. Matt, what's up, man? Thoughts on Nick Smith Jr. lottery odds? Love Nick Smith Jr., man. If we are in a position to get him, yes, absolutely. If you're in a position to get Nick Smith, yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't think he's going to make it to, I mean, it's tough to really predict where we're going to be at. If we get in the top 5, if you have an opportunity to get Nick Smith, you got to grab him. Cason Wallace, those are my 2 go-tos. Now, I know people looking at Black, Arkansas, but me personally, I like Cason Wallace and I like Nick Smith Jr. out of Auburn, man. So but I don't see Nick Smith, that is, Jr. I don't see him making it past number 5. I don't see it. Now, if we get a pick later than 5 to 10, then we could be in play to get Cason Wallace out of Kentucky. So, I'm with you, man. I think I like Nick Smith. Last two comments, same guy. Joshua Jenkins, what's going on, brother? Once Brown gets a Supermax deal, trade Bill for Brown because Bill would sign up to play with Tatum, and Jalen is a better player right now, in my opinion. Yeah. Yep. I agree. I like Bradley Bill. I love what you did for the city. I love what you've done for this franchise. But look, it's not working, man. We got to try something else. Excuse me. So if we are in a position to sign or to trade for Jaylen Brown, I'm doing it. Yeah, absolutely. Jaylen Brown and KP, yeah, I'm with it. And then add other pieces. I like that direction because, me and Ed, we say this all the time, man. What is the very definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting different results. And the Bradley Bill era, outside of the 1 year with Russell Westbrook, and even then, we had to make the playoffs through the play-in, and we got a gentleman's sweep. So what is the ceiling with Bradley Bill being the franchise player? I think we all know the answer to that. So it's just what it is. I mean, if it's not working, you got to shake it up. And I think the Jaylen Brown for Bradley Bill, I think that's a doable trade. I think that's something that Tommy Shepard has to look into. So this is gonna be the last comment tonight. I definitely appreciate everybody showing up Saturday again. Last week of the regular season, but let's get through this, y'all. Ingus again. It's just me, but it feels like KP is a quite good, solid type of lead by example leader. Yeah, absolutely. Young guys like KP and team, he earned his stripes and watch. You know what? Outstanding comment. And because I agree with that. He has shown leadership kind of quieter. Now, Kuzma has been a catalyst for leadership in DC too. I don't want to take that away from him. He's done well with leadership, which is crazy because the one person you want leadership from, you're not getting it, which is Bradley Bill. But again, I'm gonna get off Brad. I think you're in the stripes in Washington, man. It's hard. He couldn't fit with Luka, which, as you can see, it's hard to find a complimentary player to play with Luka in Dallas. And then in New York, man, he was required to do more than he was ready for in New York. Especially after the departure of Carmelo Anthony. They wanted him to be the guy, and he just wasn't ready for that. And so he's had time to really figure out what he wants to do with his game. And I love what I see from KP, man. So again, I appreciate everybody, man. I definitely appreciate everybody showing up on a Saturday. I hope everybody had a beautiful Saturday because it was good weather out here in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. So I definitely appreciate everybody. So again, we actually hit 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's because of you guys, man. So definitely appreciate it. But continue to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button when dope videos like this one come out. Definitely follow me and the real Ed Oliver on Twitter and Instagram. We chop it up all the time on game days and off days alike. And wherever you get your podcast, definitely a 5-star review will be much appreciated. So thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. Now make your second listen, Game to Game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, available on Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. So again, I hope all of y'all had a blessed and really nice weekend. Now, tomorrow, we are in Madison Square Garden, a.k.a. the Mecca of basketball. 6 o'clock at the Knicks. So again, the Knicks are ready for the playoffs, and it appears we are ready for the draft. So, but again, watch, support. Was try to really, really get behind these young guys and really see what we got for the future. But again, I appreciate y'all, man. I hope everybody has a blessed Saturday night, and I will see y'all after the game tomorrow with my man, the real Ed Oliver. So, all right, everybody, peace.